Agni Asmi Janmana Jata Veda Gritam Me Chakshuram Gritam. When you graduate, maybe in 20 years, Canada will be ready to hear you.
नमस्कार, हरिहर TV मा यहाँहरुलाई स्वागत छ। आजको संवादमा हामी दुई क्यानाडियन नागरिकसँग संवादमा छौं। हामीसँग हुनुहुन्छ ग्यारी मिलर र साथमा हुनुहुन्छ श्रीमती मारियो। उहाँको नाम मारियो हो र ग्यारी मिलर हामीसँग हुनुहुन्छ। विशेष गरी आज हामी ग्यारी मिलर जीसँगको संवादमा छौं। क्यानाडाको एउटा मान्छे आफ्नो कलकलाउँदो युवा अवस्थामा आफ्नो देश छोडेर यो भौतिक सुख सुविधा चाहिँदैन भनेर आफ्नो देश छोडेर आफ्ना इष्टमित्र छोडेर फेरि भारतमा पोन्डिचेरीमा आफ्नो ऊर्जामय समय बिताएर त्यहाँ साधना गरेर फेरि नेपालमा अन्नपूर्णका माछापुच्छ्रेका छेउछाउमा पहाडमा बसेर यतिखेर अध्ययन अनुसन्धान गरिरहेका ग्यारी मिलरलाई हामी पाएर गौरवान्वित भएका छौं, खुसी छौं र उहाँलाई हामी कार्यक्रममा स्वागत गर्छौं। वेलकम टु आवर हरिहर टिभी।
Welcome, welcome.
And we are very glad to welcome you, Mr. Gyari Miler. And we want to ask about your past.
About my past?
Yes.
What about the present? But okay, it's okay, we start with the past.
Yes.
That's not bad. Okay. Well, I'm from Canada. We have a very rich and comfortable culture, but it has no yoga basis, right? So at a very early age, at the age of 19, in fact, I left Canada to search for truth. How's that? At the age of 24, I was admitted to the Sri Aurobindo Ashram, where I took up a new life, and I will say, because I am born in Canada and we have nature very much like Himalayan nature, as a matter of habit, I began visiting South Indian nature in the way that I would visit Canadian nature as a youth. And I found that Rigvedic symbolism is based in nature. Okay? Now, my research is based in nature symbols of the Rig Veda. And I will say that we have a parallel nature experience in Canada, but it has no level of Rig Vedic interpretation. Thus, I choose to live here because the yoga associations with nature is something that Canada and Western civilization is going to have to develop quite soon. And really it's only Nepal where nature symbolism is very, very visible, because you are not a highly industrialized country like India. And in fact, it is not only easily visible, you can actually learn about it here. And so therefore I am choosing to remain here and not return to Canada and continue a research project that began in Pondicherry, 40 years ago. And if you want, I can give you some examples of that. But that's basically the life. I've lived an ashram life, and when I could not continue the research in India, I started coming to Nepal. I've been coming to Nepal for 22 years, all right? And I have found myself opposite Annapurna on Panchasi Mountain. Where I live is above the nearest village, 1 hour, and there are meditation hut ruins there. Now, it took some years to discover that the meditation hut ruins were there in the view of Annapurna. That's why they are there. So the research that followed is research based on Rigvedic Annapurna symbolism.
I want to ask, you are saying about Rigveda and Rigvedic interpretation.
Yep.
Where did you get knowledge of Rigveda? Because Even people of Nepal who are contacted with Rig Veda also don't know about Rig Veda. Where did you get this knowledge?
Well, Sri Aurobindo has published 2 books on the Rig Veda. One book is called Hymns to the Mystic Fire, and the other book is called Secret of the Veda. In those books, he gives examples of Rig Veda, so it's a compilation of the Rig Veda, not the whole Rig Veda, and he gives examples of his interpretation of Rig Vedic hymns in those books. Now, those books are available online, free to download into your phone or computer. And so it's quite easy to study that nature symbolism because the books come with a search engine. So when I have a question, I go to the computer and I do a search. And that makes it relatively approachable for anybody, I'll say.
And you have written several books also. I remember that you have written a book on Himalayan womanhood.
Yes.
Based on Rig Veda.
Yes.
And what did you get there?
You mean how did I?
What is described on this book? That means, what did you found the similarity? What is described in Rig Veda, and what did you get in Himalayan womanhood?
Well, firstly, in the Rig Vedic age, womanhood was given a very, very, very high level of respect. To the degree that should a man do a Rig Vedic puja, if there is not a woman present, it will bear no fruit.
Yes.
Thus, womanhood in the Rig Veda is given a very, very high level of respect and yoga association. Now, I will say that I am married into the Mongolian group that lives around Pokhara. My wife is a Gurung lady of about my age that I have known for many, many years. And she comes from a large family, 6 brothers, 3 sisters, okay? In the years of my visiting, because you see, actually, she and her 2 sisters have a trekking lodge. And so for 9 years before I moved to Nepal, I spent 5 months a year in that trekking lodge. That, coupled with my marriage, has brought me face to face with Rig Vedic womanhood. Now, the main thing about Rig Vedic womanhood is that they don't compare themselves to men, all right? All of Western civilization, in all of Western civilization, womanhood is compared to maleness. Okay, well, that's not the way it works in the Rig Veda. As a matter of fact, it would probably be the other way around. But the main nature symbolism of the Rig Veda is feminine, all right? All of the Himalayas, they're feminine mountains. Now, if you've given them a male name, that's Puranic. That's not Vedic. The Puranic name of Annapurna is Annapurna. The Vedic name of Annapurna is White Shining Mother, which is just the way she looks, right?
Sanskrit? What is the Sanskrit form of that?
White Shining Mother?
Yes.
Oh, I'd have to go through the hymn. Gee, off the top of my head, I can't remember. But you see, that's...
You have written that Macha Pusre is not just fish tail.
Yeah, no. You see, I live where meditation hut ruins are. It does not look like a fishtail from where I live. On Panchasi Mountain, at Panchasi Bangjang, which is directly opposite the... See, Annapurna is a massif. It's not a mountain. It's a plateau, a volcanic plateau. And Panchasi Mountain is directly opposite the southern edge of it. Now, Annapurna you can measure because on the west side you have the Kali Gandaki River, and on the east side you have the Marsigundi River. You can measure it. Dead center you have this upward pointing peak that from Panchasi Bangjang does not look like a fishtail. All right? In Mandala 5, Sukta 19, it is described as a fire. And if you look at it from meditation hut ruins there, it does have the shape of a flame. So that's the basis of the Annapurna research. You have to start with the holiest mountain in Nepal not being translated as a fishtail, okay?
What about Mata Putra?
Yes, so it's translated Mata Putra. See, Putra is something in the center. In terms of Mata Putra, when a mother holds the child in her lap, he's sitting in the center, all right? So in Rigvedic nature symbolism, anything in the center is a symbol for the mystic fire, as well as an S-O-N, sun, okay? That's how I have described in my book a new way of looking at Rigvedic hymns, and that is based on the nature symbolism in that hymn. And, for example, hymns that have the lap of the mother in them describe Annapurna. Okay?
Which is the land of Rigveda? Where was they composed?
Well, Mandala 5, Sukta 19 was composed on Panchasi mountain where I live, right? And there will be, in my opinion, dozens of Rigvedic hymns that describe Annapurna because when Annapurna has a center, that is a yantra for meditation.
For example, some hymns.
Well, Mandala 5 Sukta 1 describes Annapurna. Mandala 4 Sukta 5 describes Annapurna. That's just an example. There are a number of them, all right? And certainly the ones that have the lap of the mother are describing Annapurna, right? I've even seen that in the Nepali translation of Mandala 5 Sukta 19, they also say lap of the mother. So that's an example of a nature symbol from the Rig Veda. And also, you have to understand, the Rig Veda, these are mystic poems. They're not intellectual dissertations. So when you look at them, you've got to look at them in the way that somebody living 10,000 years ago would look at them, all right? All of this intellectual stuff, the books and all that stuff, that does not help Rigvedic studies. Okay?
Okay. And you said that you came here to find the truth.
Yeah.
Yes. And did you find?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I did. I got a yay for Nepal. Yeah, it's absolutely correct. Very good.
Wow.
All right.
And thank you very much for your opinion about Rigveda.
All right.
And what is your opinion about Nepal and Nepali? What should they do? And we see that, we have seen that you from Canada are doing research on Rigveda, and no one from Nepal is doing that. And what do you think about that?
You know what you have to do? You have to chant to a wood fire. That's how Rigvedic yoga practice is done. Here you do it for big celebrations. Got to do it daily, all right? That is the basic framework for Rigvedic yoga practice. Now, I understand it's not so easy to do, but if you want to study the Rig Veda and you don't do that, no hope, sorry. Okay. No, I'm not talking about the grammar. I'm talking about if you want to understand what a Rigvedic hymn means, you have to do Rigvedic yoga practice. All right.
Okay. We are very happy to get here, and we are eagerly waiting to listen some hymns from you.
Hymns from me. Look at. You see, I chant Mandala 5 Sukta 19. I'm chanting it for 12 years. I mean, I've chanted it in the ashram also, but let's say with the fire for 12 years. You see, for one thing, while the chants have all these associations with them, it is the doing of the chant, not its meaning, that opens the mind. All right? And Rigvedic yoga practice is not like modern yoga practices. It is about opening the mind and seeing what comes.
Yes.
According to your makeup and your subject and all that stuff. All right? So it is not, you can say, a religious yoga practice. It is an organic one. And I will also give you my opinion about the rules and regulations for chanting. Sorry, in the Rig Veda, they're not there in terms of yoga practice. The thing about the Rig Vedic symbolism that is unique is that there are no rules. It's according to your own nature and subject matter. So I am chanting, I chant Mandala 5, 6 to 19. There's 5 verses, I chant that. And a hymn to Agni to start it, all right? Now I'll just repeat the hymn to Agni because, see, these are things we can't explain, all right? And why I do what I do, don't ask me to give a logical reason. But I will say that should one be able to associate one's life with a Rig Vedic hymn, you know, it doesn't really go any further than that. You have to just repeat it. Abhyavastyaha prajayante pravavrirva vischiketa upastyema todvijaste. Jahuri vi chitayanto namisham renam panti adrulham puram vivishaho. Ashvai treyasya jantavo dumadvardanta krishtayaha nishkakrivo briha dukta ena madva nava jayahu. Priyam duktam nakamya majami jam yoho sacha gurmo nava jaja daro dabdaha sashvatho dabaha. Klirlano rasmaa buvaha sambasmana bayuna devidannaha tar asyasan virishajo natigmaha susanchita bakshio bakshane staha. That's my yoga practice. I chant that. Okay?
Lots of thanks for you and you also. नेपाल कस्तो लाग्यो तपाईलाई?
राम्रो लाग्छ नेपाल राम्रो देश हो.
कहाँ जानुभयो, कहाँ घुम्नुभयो?
म पनि धेरै नेपालमा बसेको छ. अहिले 18 वर्ष भएको. 18? हजुर.
क्यानाडामा घर कहाँ हो?
म क्यानाडाको होइन, म नेदरल्यान्ड्सको हो.
हजुर नेदरल्यान्ड्सको.
हजुर.
अनि पोखरामा बस्नुहुन्छ?
म 12 वर्षतिर पोखरामा बसेको. अहिले 7 वर्ष भएको हेलम्बुमा.
हेलम्बुमा है?
हजुर.
नेपालमा के गर्नुहुन्छ? घुम्ने?
म स्वास्थ्यको काम धेरै गरेको.
स्वास्थ्यको काम गर्नुहुन्छ है? नेपालीहरू कस्ता लाग्छन् हजुरलाई?
नेपालीहरू राम्रो लाग्छ. म खुसी लाग्यो. मेरो लागि जिन्दगी राम्रो छ. कही सबै जिन्दगी त्यस्तो हो, कुन राम्रो कुन नराम्रो. नेपाल पनि त्यस्तै हो, तर म माया लाग्छ.
नेदरल्यान्ड जानु भएको छ कि छैन?
कहिले बुवामा भेट्नु पर्छ है. दिदी भाइ पनि छ.
बुवामा कहाँ हुनुहुन्छ?
नेदरल्यान्ड्समा.
के गर्नुहुन्छ बुवाआमाले?
बुढी भइसक्यो. 80 वर्षको माथि. किसान हो, गाउँको मान्छे हो. हामी गाउँको
मान्छे. बुवाआमालाई नेपाल ल्याउने होइन?
आएको धेरै माया लाग्यो. 8 चोटि आएको होला.
8 चोटि आइसक्यो.
नेपाली रमाइलो लाग्छ.
पुरै नेपाली भइसक्नु भएछ?
खै
नेपालीले पनि झुकिन्छ नि. नेपाली हो कि भन्छन् हजुरलाई?
न मान्छे बाउनु होला.
बाउनी भन्ने भन्छ.
बाउनी भन्छन्.
धेरै धन्यवाद हजुरलाई.
धन्यवाद.
मारियो मिस्टर ग्यारी मिलर.
यस.
तपाईहरु सबैलाई यतिन्जेलसम्मका लागि धन्यवाद. र आजका पाहुना दुवैलाई धेरै धन्यवाद. र यो व्यवस्था मिलाइदिने आदरणीय देवकोटा दाजुलाई पनि धेरै धन्यवाद. यतिन्जेलसम्म जतिले पनि हरिहर टिभी हेरिरहनु भएको छ, हामीलाई साथ दिँदै गर्नुहोला, माया गर्दै गर्नुहोला. धन्यवाद. नमस्कार.